Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Deb Sofield, and you're listening to my weekly podcast series called Encouragement for Your Life. Most of you know I'm a national speaker, trainer, and coach. I like to say I help people find their voice and learn to use it. I'm also a conference speaker on the topics of public speaking, presentation skills, how to deal with the media, and crisis communication. I've got a number of other presentations on my website if you'd like to check those out. If your organization has an upcoming conference and you need a keynote speaker, I hope you'll reach out at debsofield.com. I would love to be a part. I've got a number of great books on the market. My best-selling book, Speak Without Fear. My book, Perfecting Your Platform. Both of those are on Amazon and Audible if you like to listen to books. And my series, Encouragement for Your Life, which is a compilation of these podcasts, they're available on Amazon, volumes 1 through 3. Just go into Amazon, type in my name, Deb Sofield, all my books will appear. I've got a great show today, and I'm calling it I Get By with a Little Help from My Friends, and I'm sure you do also. All right, quick break, I'll be right back. Have to say, I always like the Beatles song, I Get By with a Little Help from My Friends. Most of their songs I'm pretty ambivalent about, but something about the tune and the truth of having strength in numbers makes me feel safe in the world today. Like many of you, I've got a group of friends for different aspects of my life. I've got church friends, work friends, former work friends, political friends, former political friends, my mom's friends, my brother's friends, and my great neighbors. I even have a small group of more mature friends whose company I love. And in the midst of it all, I have a small group of trusted friends who keep me motivated and real when my work and world close in. So my message is simple today, and it's backed by science that we all do better when we work to make our relationships real, strong, and long-lasting. Family, for the most part, will always be with us. But it's the friends we made long ago or yesterday that bring a burst of joy and gladness to the mundane and the ordinary. That makes the journey a lot more enjoyable. Without a doubt, one of the saddest things we all experience is when we lose a friend, either by choice or by necessity, because some of them are truly nuts, or by death. But I'm not going to dwell on the loss by death for my thought today, frankly, because it's just too sad. What I think is important to refresh your memory about is the value of working on your friendships. I know most of you listening, you've got your posse, and for all intents and purposes, you're doing great. But what I want to drive home is the idea that a little bit of work on your part now will pay dividends for the rest of your life. Now, I'm not talking about doing good deeds to add some chits to your list of those who owe you something. Let's go a bit deeper to acknowledge that when you need a friend, there will be somebody you can call when your world falls down around you. There's a quote online that I like that says, "Friendships are weird. You just pick a human you've met and you're like, yep, this is the one, and you just go and do stuff with them." And that's how it works. There are so many articles online about the need and value of true friendship. I find that for all reasons the psychologists have for friendship valuations, while they do create metrics for friendship quotients, there's 3 that really made my list. My list is a narrative that gives me purpose. I need to set aside time and see my friends. Now listen, your list may be different, and that's okay, but please do take a moment this week and make 3 lists of friends. Number 1, those you would call if something really bad happened. List number 2, those you would call if something really great happened. And 3, those you would call just to shoot the breeze and catch up on life. Granted, all 3 groups might have some of the same people, but my thought is you probably need to have a few different folks in each category, or you're going to wear out those few souls who are on every list. If you're not careful, you might go looking for a new friendship if you spend too much time unloading your burdens and worries on them. But if you're constantly bragging about your accomplishments or taking a lot of their time with your chatter, like many of you, I always look for a few traits in my friends and those that I'm choosing. Those who would understand and not judge unless I'm really off track. I look for those who will encourage me, those who laugh at my terrible jokes. Those are the ones who are my partners in crime, so to speak. Like many of you, I run at a high speed, and sometimes I get myself stuck between a rock and a hard place when I overcommit or, I admit, embellish a little bit. That's when I need my friends to rein me in, slow down, and just breathe. I have my own business, so sometimes when I spend a lot of time thinking through an issue, I think I come up with a brilliant solution, and then I don't seek outside counsel at midnight. All my opinions seem dazzling ideas, until, of course, the wheels come off. And then I realize if I had just run my magnificent idea by my friends, perhaps I would not have lost my shirt on that project. Listen, there's no better feeling than knowing that someone believes in you and is willing to encourage you to stretch yourself to do the thing you need to do, even if you're afraid. A few years ago, a friend encouraged me to accept an offer and travel to a country I had zero interest in going to. And while the trip was okay, and I'm glad I went, in the end, it wasn't a location that taught me much. But it was the fact that I had to dig deep to make it through and keep a positive attitude for others. So the whole affair didn't end up being a big, messy situation. Yes, I know I'm vague on this point, but the bigger issue is simply that the encouragement of a friend forced me to call on my better angels to grow up and be my best without complaint. Only I know that the trip is on my list of places Deb never wants to visit again. But the time I spent made me see the world through a new lens. And years later, I can honestly say I'm probably better for it today. I would have never put myself out there without the encouragement and trust of a friend who probably suggested and saw in me a need to grow. We all have that friend or few friends that when we're together, life is good. Our common interest and shared fun make memories for a lifetime. The late night talks, the early morning walks, and the meals shared with love and laughter. Those are the moments that when you look up in the sky at night, you thank your lucky stars that you're in this group of kind, loving, like-minded, amazing friends. It's my prayer that you have a crew of friends just like that. Now, from the outside, it does seem like all my friends are cool, amazing, smart, and good looking. And let's be honest, they are. But the truth is, I've had to walk away from a few friends who really weren't good to me or for me. And as hard as it is to pull away, when I look at the list of who I could call, who I could share with, or who I would enjoy shooting the breeze with, those people were not on any of my list. We just happened to be at the same place at the same time, and it seemed like they would be a good choice until their true color showed. That's when I realized that I had connected with a person whose values, they really weren't like mine, whose words were not true, whose goals were simply to use me and you, and to use our network for their personal gain. Listen, we've all had those friends. Too bad they don't get together and make friends miserable. And, on the outside, they did seem legit. They are masters at finding good-hearted, honest, kind people to use them for their success, going so far as to ruin a reputation unless you can break away before it all falls down. I don't know about you, but it's hard to tell your friends that you're sorry for bringing the disruptor into the group. The funny thing is, not ha-ha funny, but you're going to find out that your friends all seem to know the interloper's true intent, even though you never saw it. And it is hard to walk away from a soon-to-be former friend when they are really good at making you feel guilty for pulling away. But pulling away, you must to save yourself and your reputation. I know it's hard because we're taught that we have to give and give, but friend, remember, you really have to do what's best for you. If walking away and being alone for a time is best, make your move sooner than later, before they become so entangled in your life, your business, and your friend group, when hanging on a minute more will cause greater harm to the rest of your honest friends than setting that one aside. Removing dishonest friends and business partners, let me be honest, it's going to cost you financially. But I will also add, it is worth it to take the hit early before they smash your hard work and reputation into the rails. Oh, they're going to walk away, leaving you holding the damage. And then you have to explain what happened while you concede to the embarrassment of, got a poor judgment on that friend. And I put that word in quotes. Now, let me just stop and say, I am not speaking to anyone who's listening today, so don't call and ask me if you're my nutty friend. This post is from me watching others fall into the same trap that we've all fallen into at one time or another in our lives. So seriously, I'm not talking about you. I do have a funny story to tell. When I had a radio show, one of my many themes was moving on in your life and leaving those who hurt you behind. A very typical theme that I talk about a lot. Well, I had an email from someone who told me to stop listening to his wife and that he wasn't as bad as she said he was, and I was terrible for not listening to his side of the story. Well, so I wrote him back and I said, well, which of my hundreds of shows had his wife heard that he interpreted as being about him? Well, of course, he didn't know and proceeded to tell me that even his friends told him that no one on the radio was talking about him and that he should just chill and not verbally attack strangers. So in my final note, I promised him that I didn't know who he was or who she was, but I hope they worked out whatever they had going on. And his reply was the best I have ever received, because he wrote me back and he said this, very simple: received and recorded in heaven. Received and recorded in heaven. I admit I love that reply, and I still have no idea who those people were. Okay, back to my main theme. Listen, if you've got friends, the truth is we all get by with a little help from our friends. And to make it even, allow me to remind you that we all need to be a friend in good times and bad, in health and despair, in abundance and in need. We can be the light that gives our friends a guide or a comfort or shelter from the storm of life. And we should be, because that's what true friends do for each other. So go ahead, make your list, reconnect, strengthen your ties, so that when the winds of life blow, both of you are anchor with a tie that binds. The fact is, we all do get by with a little help from our friends, and that is, in my opinion, one of the greatest joys I think we can have in life. All right, I like this show. I'm actually thinking about my friends as I'm giving this show, simply because I am fortunate and I'm blessed. And many of you listening, you are too. I mean, you stop and think about it. Good times and bad, we've got our little posse that stays with us. All right, thank you for listening to Deb Sofield's Encouragement for Your Life, and I hope you'll join me next week so we can continue our journey together as friends as we work towards a better day. And remember, Deb doesn't care what the world says about you. I want you to know that I care about you, and I care about you because I believe you being a friend to others could be the one thing some of our friends have to hold on to. And here's my promise: I'll walk alongside you as we lead our friends in the right direction so we can all dream to great success together. All right, take care, everybody. Thanks for listening. Join me next week.